Hey guys, welcome. No matter what house you are, I just want to personally say welcome. My name is Kendrick Banks. I'm one of your C12 leaders here. Alright, whatever house I am, we're the best. I just want to put that out there right now because I think we're cool. If you're new to a house, I want you guys to go ahead and scan that QR code, okay? Because we want to get connected. I don't want you guys feeling alone. What's a huge reminder for what we just learned about last week, October 30th, we're going to have our big C12 fall party. Here we're going to have worship, food, more worship. And if you want to hang out after, more food. Okay, now personally, Jesus said he's going to be there. He texted me. Just want to put that out there. Okay, guys, grab your books, your Bibles, and whatever you need, even your iPhone if you have to, and get ready for this word from Heather. See you guys in there. Fire me up.
Hey C12, we are here in week 3 of a series called The Stories We Tell Ourselves. Last week was a story we tell ourselves about ourselves, that we need other people's love and approval. And I heard that you all had some really awesome discussions. So proud of you. So excited that you guys are willing to jump in and go deep and be vulnerable and open to receiving God's truth. But today I want to talk about a story we tell ourselves about other people. And the story is this, that other people should earn our forgiveness. I know, we're going to talk about forgiveness. Just go ahead and get ready for it. Just go ahead and take a deep breath, and we're going to talk about forgiveness. But we've bought into a lie, a story, if you will, and this is another one of those that we would never admit it, and we wouldn't ever say they need to earn my forgiveness, but we live that way. We walk it out that way. I want to read you a story. I came across this story and I thought that it's fascinating. It's a story told of a spy who was captured and then sentenced to death in the Persian army. The general had the strange custom of giving condemned criminals a choice between the firing squad or walking through a big black door. As the moment for execution would draw near, this spy was brought to the Persian general, who then asked the spy this question: what will it be, the firing squad or the big black door? Well, the spy hesitated for a long time because it's kind of a difficult decision. I mean, right? He chose the firing squad. Moments later, shots rang out confirming his execution. The general turned to his aide and said, "They always prefer the known way to the unknown way. It's characteristic of people to be afraid of the undefined." Yep, we gave him a choice. The aide said, "Well, what lies behind the big black door?" The general replied, "Freedom. I've only known a few brave people that were willing to take it." I know when presented with the choice of losing their lives quickly and instantly or moving through a big black door, people chose the quick and instant death. Forgiveness is the door to freedom for so many of you. I need you to write that down. I need you to imprint that on your heart. Type it into your phone. Forgiveness is the door of freedom for many of you today. But if you're afraid of walking through it, you will meet certain death. Your soul will die, your spirit will die. You'll never have emotional health. In fact, studies show that unforgiveness actually affects your physical health. So what will you choose? I want to read you a passage from the book of Hebrews. If you have your Bibles with you, Hebrews is towards the end of the Bible. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1. It says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses to the life of faith, let us strip off every weight that slows us down." Let me say that again. Let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up. And let us run with endurance the race God has set before us. We're in a race. The Bible talks about that. It uses this metaphor of a race. But we get encumbered by things, encumbered by sin, weighed down. And the Bible's saying, strip yourself of the things that are leaving you weighted so that you can run with endurance. It's hard to endure if you're weighted down. But we are afraid, just like the spy was. We're afraid of forgiveness. We are afraid of forgiving people. Sounds bizarre, I know, but we are. We're afraid of it. And why? Because we're afraid that forgiveness will give permission to the other person to do what they did to us before again. Or we're afraid that forgiving will leave us unprotected, it'll leave us at risk, or that it'll minimize the pain we've experienced. I've seen people hold out on forgiving because they think the quicker I forgive, the quicker everyone else will move past it, and I'm not ready to move past it. Or we're afraid that we just simply won't be able to do it. We say things like, I can't forgive. I don't know how to forgive. And so then we never really take the steps to see what's on the other side of the door. Honestly, when I was writing these notes out, I was thinking to myself, forgiveness is a really big thing to try and tackle in a really short teaching on a screen, to a room full of people watching on a screen, when what I really wish I could do is sit down with every single person and have a very real conversation about the things that have weighed you down in life, the pains and the wounds that have been left unforgiven, to really be able to get into that. But here we are, and I'm talking to you, and I'm pretending I'm talking to you and you're across the table from me. And so I'm going to say something to you, and I hope that you can hear it with the love that I intend for it to be wrapped in. Here's what I want to say. Jesus never gave you the right nor the responsibility to determine whether someone is worthy of forgiveness. Okay, I'm going to say it again because that's a big statement. Ready? Jesus never gave you the right or the responsibility to determine whether someone deserves forgiveness. We don't get that right. We don't get to decide whether someone deserves forgiveness. What we do know is that Jesus told us to forgive. That's what we know. So what is it? What is forgiveness? I want to give you a definition for it because I want it to be clear what it is we're talking about. Forgiveness is this: to cancel the debt someone owes you. To cancel the debt someone owes you. Now let me be clear about what that means. It means that you release them from owing you an apology. You release them from owing you any kind of explanation. You release them from making any kind of restitution or from making up for something. You release them from giving you closure, right? That's what forgiveness is. Releasing someone from owing you anything, canceling the debt entirely. Which sounds great, but how do you really do that? Are there practical steps to forgiveness? Well, yes, there are. I'm going to give them to you today. There are 3 steps to forgiveness. Ready? You're going to decide, you're going to depend, and then you're going to do it again. Decide, depend, and then do it again. Let's start with decide. Colossians 3:13. Make allowance for each other's faults and forgive anyone who offends you. I know. Forgive anyone who offends you. Remember, the Lord forgave you, so you must forgive others. See, you have to decide because forgiveness is a choice. It's not a feeling. You will never feel ready to forgive. That is not how this works. And we often say that, well, I'm not quite ready to forgive. Guess what? You never will be. We never feel ready. Your feelings typically don't precede obedience. And we're asked to forgive. The being ready story isn't a true story. It's a story we tell ourselves. Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, before he was arrested, taken, tortured, and killed, he asked his Father in heaven to please release him from having to walk this road. See, Jesus wasn't ready to do it, but he was willing. Very distinctly different. You don't have to be ready. You just have to be willing. And it's because of his willingness to go to the cross that we get to live forgiven. His willingness freed all of humanity. Your willingness to forgive will free you, and believe it or not, it will free up other people. Choose to forgive, decide. Second thing, depend. You might think, I can't forgive. And the honest answer is, you can't on your own. You can't forgive on your own. You can't just walk through that door and all the what ifs on the other side of the door, left to your own devices and your own power, left to the what if they do it again, or what if I wake up the next day and I still feel like I haven't forgiven? What do I do then? Well, God's forgiveness shows us what it's like to be able to forgive, that it's even possible. And if we say we can't forgive, if we won't depend on the Lord for our strength and our comfort and our freedom, what we're saying is that when Jesus died on the cross, it wasn't enough. That the blood that he shed wasn't enough for forgiveness. It wasn't enough for us to be made whole, for us to be made free, so that we can in turn forgive others. And I know that's not what you think. I know that you're going to say absolutely what Jesus did was enough for us. But if that's true, it means that it's enough for you to depend on him for the strength to do what you need to do to walk through the door and find freedom. And the third step, you might have to do it again. So you decide, and then you depend, and then you're probably going to have to do it again. The forgiveness you offer is the forgiveness that you receive. The Bible is clear about that. My mom said to me, some of the best advice she ever gave me in all of life, and I've used it over and over and over again, is that when you forgive someone, you choose to do it, and then even if you don't feel like it, you act as though you feel like it. So what would you do if you had felt like you'd forgiven? How would you live your life if you were free of the anger and bitterness? How would you walk out the day? You would live differently if you didn't give all the power over your life to someone else and the pain that they caused you. You would live differently if you were surrendered fully to Jesus and not surrendered to whatever past mistake happened. Sometimes you got to decide, depend, and do it again every day for a very long time. There have been circumstances and happenings in my life where I forgave someone one day and the next day I got up and had to do it all over again, and then had to do it all over again, and then had to do it all over again. But then eventually the days between I had to forgive, the times I had to forgive them became greater and lengthier. And maybe instead of having to re-forgive them daily, it was weekly, and then maybe monthly, and then maybe yearly, and then maybe every few years the memory would pop up. That's how healing happens. Live like you have forgiven. The feeling of forgiveness will follow. See, the story is that they need to earn forgiveness, but the true story is that you need to extend forgiveness. Let me leave you with this final illustration. Okay. Just for the past couple months, I've been working out. I know you can tell. I know you're thinking that. It's true. Well, in working out, with every workout, I've learned I have to increase the amount of weight that I'm using in my workouts. The weight that I once was able to do became easy, and then the weights get heavier. So the other day, I had a 10-pound weight in one of my hands. Now, after so many exercises, I just want to put down the weight because my arm is tired. So if you think of a weight as a wound and you're holding it, you can only hold on to something for so long before that 10 pounds starts to feel like 20. And then it'll start to feel like 50. And then it'll start to feel like 100. It will feel so heavy to you, and all you'll want to do is just throw it down. Forgiveness is the same way. It is this weight. Remember the verse in Hebrews? To throw off the weight and the sin that encumbers you. See, it's almost like the greater the weight, the bigger the wound, the more quickly you need to get rid of it. Because you can't hold on to a lot of weight for a long time. So, the true story is that we don't get to decide whether someone's worth forgiving. We're just called to extend forgiveness. So, my question to you is, what story do you want to tell? Till next week.